It's 2 a.m. and you're scrolling Zillow instead of sleeping. You've filtered out everything above $500,000 because that's not even a conversation anymore. Then you see it, a $250,000 house. Finally, something that doesn't look completely impossible. The photos load. The kitchen is outdated but functional. The carpet has seen better days. The listing says, affordable starter home. For a moment, you feel relief. $250,000 sounds reasonable in 2026. Then the calculations start running in your head. If you make $60,000, maybe it works. If you make $75,000, probably. If you hit six figures, definitely. But here's the uncomfortable reality. Even at $250,000, the math is still tight. Not dramatically impossible like $500,000 homes, just quietly tight in a way that slowly squeezes your margin every month. Today, we're not asking who the bank will approve. Banks approve people all the time for things they can barely afford. We're asking a more honest question. Who can actually buy a $250,000 house in 2026 without turning their life into a constant financial stress test? The down payment illusion. Let's start with the down payment, because this is where affordability first gets distorted. The traditional rule says 20% down. On a $250,000 house, that's $50,000 in cash. For most households, that number alone ends the conversation. The median savings balance in America is nowhere near $50,000. Even households earning solid incomes often struggle to save that much while paying rent, utilities, insurance, and everything else that keeps life running. So realistically, most buyers won't put 20% down. They'll put 10% down, which is $25,000. Some will go even lower using FHA loans with 3.5% down. That makes the purchase possible, but it introduces private mortgage insurance, or PMI. PMI typically costs between $60 and $150 per month, and it protects the lender, not you. It's essentially a fee for not having enough capital up front. So before you've even made a payment, the affordable home has already become more expensive than it looked in the listing, the real monthly cost. Now let's calculate the actual monthly cost, not just the mortgage shown on the real estate website. Assume you put 10% down and borrow $225,000. At interest rates between 6.5% and 7%, your principal and interest payment lands around $1,400 to $1,450 per month. That's just the loan itself. Next come property taxes. In many lower-cost markets, taxes range between 1% and 1.5% of the home's value annually. On a $250,000 house, that's roughly $2,500 to $3,750 per year, or around $200 to $300 per month. Add homeowner's insurance, which often sits near $100 per month depending on the region. Then add maintenance. A common rule of thumb is to budget 1% of the home's value annually for repairs and upkeep. That's another $2,500 per year, or roughly $200 per month. Roofs wear out. HVAC systems fail. Water heaters don't last forever. If you didn't put 20% down, add PMI at around $100 per month. When you add it all together, the math looks like this. About $1,430 for the mortgage, $260 for taxes, $100 for insurance, $200 for maintenance, and $100 for PMI. That's roughly $2,090 per month before utilities. In annual terms, you're spending about $25,000 just to live in that house. That's what $250,000 really costs. Income required versus income comfortable. Financial advisors often recommend that housing costs not exceed 28% of your gross income. Banks may approve you up to 43% of your debt-to-income ratio. Those are two very different thresholds. If $2,090 represents 28% of your gross income, you need to earn around $90,000 per year. If we stretch to the bank's 43% approval limit, you could qualify earning closer to $60,000 annually. But here's the key difference. Qualifying is not the same as comfortably affording. Gross income is not what hits your bank account. After taxes, state taxes, Social Security, Medicare, health insurance, and retirement contributions, your take-home pay is significantly lower.
Comfort is determined by what's left over after everything clears, not by what the bank says you're allowed to spend, what it looks like in real life. Let's imagine a household earning $75,000 per year. After taxes and deductions, they might bring home around $4,400 per month. Subtract the $2,090 housing cost, and they have about $2,310 remaining. Now add a car payment of $350, car insurance of $120, gas at $200, student loans at $250, groceries around $500, and basic healthcare costs of $150. That leaves roughly $740. That $740 has to cover utilities, internet, phones, clothing, household items, entertainment, and savings. One unexpected car repair can wipe out the entire cushion for months. A medical bill creates stress immediately. The household technically affords the house, but they feel tight every month. This is what affordable often looks like in practice, the psychological pressure. The difficult part is that everyone involved in the transaction tells you it makes sense. The bank approves you, the real estate agent calls it a perfect starter home, family members say you're building equity. Nobody in that chain benefits if you walk away. Once you sign, you're committed. Selling costs money. Refinancing depends on interest rates. Missing payments damages credit. Home ownership reduces flexibility. Renters can downsize. Homeowners carry fixed obligations. Even at $250,000, that obligation is heavy if your margin is thin, the bigger context. In previous decades, homes often cost 2 to 3 times annual income. Today, even in affordable markets, the ratio is higher, and wages haven't kept pace with housing inflation. So when it feels harder than it should, that's not personal failure. The economic structure shifted. The problem isn't that $250,000 homes don't exist. The problem is that income growth hasn't kept up with the full cost of ownership. Taxes, insurance, and maintenance have all increased alongside home prices. So who can truly afford it? Households earning $90,000 or more with stable jobs, low debt, and an emergency fund can likely afford a $250,000 home comfortably. Households earning $70,000 to $85,000 can make it work, but should expect tighter margins. Households earning $60,000 or less will likely experience consistent financial pressure unless they have unusually low expenses or significant savings. The difference between sustainable and stressful is not the purchase price alone, it's the margin left over every month. A $250,000 house in 2026 is not wildly unrealistic, it's just not automatically comfortable. Approval doesn't equal stability. Equity doesn't erase anxiety. If owning that house leaves you with barely enough breathing room, the stress can outweigh the pride of ownership. The real question isn't whether you can get approved, it's whether your life improves after you sign.
Like, subscribe, and turn on the bell icon.